Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the MLB slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Sunday, August the 2nd. We do have a short Sunday slate for MLB, only 6 games on Draftkings. It says 7, but one of the games has already been postponed between the Brewers and the Cardinals. That game was actually supposed to be a doubleheader. They were going to play at 1 o'clock, and then they were going to play their second game at 5 o'clock. It was going to be 2 games, a doubleheader, but both of those games have already been postponed due to COVID concerns. So only a 6-game slate on DraftKings. Over on Yahoo, it's an 11-game slate. It says 13, but those 2 games postponed, so not on the slate. Yahoo, usually what they always do is they include all the games in their main slate on Sunday. That's what they're going with, all the way from 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, all the way until Sunday Night Baseball at 7 o'clock between the Red Sox and Yankees. So 11-gamer on Yahoo, 6-gamer on DraftKings. We'll break down this MLB slate, go through pitching first. That's where we always start. Talk about the pitchers I have the most interest in today. I'm not going to talk about every single pitcher, just the guys that I feel like I'm going to have in my player pool and that I'm going to be playing in my lineups. Then we'll take a look at 3 specific hitters I like. Again, not going to talk about every single hitter because the video would just be so long. There's just too many guys to talk about. It's just such a deep positions. Like with baseball, catchers are so deep. There's just so many guys, so many playable options. So I'm just going to talk about the guys that I like the most, 3 specifically for DraftKings and then 3 specifically for Yahoo. And towards the end of the video, we will take a look at some stacks I like, some teams I'm looking to stack up in my tournament lineups. But just before we do get started, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new here, I do upload MLB videos pretty much daily. I didn't get a video up for Saturday, but I wanted to make sure to get one up for this Sunday slate. I'm going to try and get MLB videos out daily. If I can't, I'll definitely get them out at least like 5 times a week, like Monday through Friday for sure. Not sure about the weekends yet. NBA is kind of my priority now. Like I want to try and get NBA out first because NBA is what you guys seem to enjoy the most. But I do still play MLB, especially because NBA starts in the afternoon, and then on the weekdays, MLB starts at night. So it's kind of convenient for my schedule. I can make my NBA lineups in the afternoon, and then I can make my MLB lineups at night. I don't have to worry about trying to jam in 2 sports at the same time. But yeah, hit that subscribe button. Got a ton of content coming out for you guys. I said this in my NBA video. If you didn't catch it, I might start live streaming soon. I did get new internet installed in my apartment. I do have fiber optic internet now. That was a big problem for me earlier. My internet wasn't bad, it just wasn't good enough for me to live stream. And live streaming is something I've always wanted to do. I just haven't been able to do it because of internet. But now that I have fiber optic internet, I do have a good enough upload speed to where I can live stream. I'm thinking about doing that maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just going live during the day for maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and just kind of talking through the slate with you guys, answer some questions. It's pretty much chill and hang out and talk DFS, whether that's baseball, basketball, or whatever. I do want to try and go live maybe 2 to 3 times a week. I don't know when I'm going to start doing it. I got to probably get everything set up, figure out how I'm going to do it. But I definitely will have some live streams soon. If you hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell, you will get notified when I go live, and you'll also get notified every time I upload a new video. So make sure to do that, guys. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at pitcher for today. Very weak pitching slate. Not a lot of guys at the top that you're going to feel great about. When you just look at the pitcher player pool and you see Aaron Savale is the most expensive pitcher at $9,600 and he's facing the Twins, that just shows you how bad the pitcher pool is for today. So Savale actually looked really good in his first start this season against the White Sox. Through 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 2 runs, 7 hits, but did get 9 strikeouts, so he was pretty good in the K department. I just don't know if this is a spot where I can play Savale against the Twins. Just such a good lineup, man. Not a ton of strikeouts either. So much power in this lineup. The Twins have a 5 implied run total. I just can't go to Savale here. He's just too expensive for me. It's too tough a matchup. John Lester, not really a guy I like either. Pittsburgh's a team that doesn't strike out much. Lester's just not that good of a pitcher, in my opinion. Doesn't really get many strikeouts. And he's $9K as well. One of the more expensive pitchers on the slate. If I'm going to roster guys today, I want to roster guys that I think at least have strikeout upside, even if they may be overpriced or if they may be in like sort of riskier matchups. I just want to roster guys that I think can get strikeouts. And one of those guys that I do like that I think can get the Ks is Yanni Chirinos. He's $8,600 on DraftKings. He's probably my preferred SP1 today. I do like him over Savale and Lester, especially because he's cheaper. I like Yanni Chirinos over on Yahoo as well. He's very affordable over here, only $35. Even though it's an all-day slate and there's more players to choose from, I still think Yanni Chirinos stands out as one of the better pitching options on Yahoo. So this is obviously a very favorable matchup against the Orioles. If we take a look at splits last season versus right-handed pitching, the Orioles were about middle of the pack in K rate. To my surprise, I always thought the Orioles had a higher strikeout rate versus righties last season than they do, but last season they finished 19th in terms of K rate versus righties, 22.8%, so that was about middle of the pack. But I mean, you look at every offensive batting category like ISO, WOBA. I mean, they were towards the bottom of the league in pretty much every batting category, every offensive category, bottom 10 in WOBA. You look at WRC, WRC plus. Take a look at WRC plus. I mean, they're bottom 10, they're 10th in that, 10th worst, I should say. You look at WOBA, the Orioles are 7th worst in WOBA last season. You look at walks too. I mean, they didn't take a ton of walks, 8th worst in terms of walk rate. So a team that definitely will strike out, not very patient. I mean, not a lot of guys on that team are going to really fight in terms of making you throw a lot of pitches. You look at their lineup from top to bottom. Already, it looks like they have a couple guys out. Jose Iglesias, I think he's missed the last few games. Right now, he's in the projected lineup, but he has an out symbol next to him, so we'll have to see if he's in the lineup. Honestly, if he's out of the lineup, that's probably a boost because I think Jose Iglesias has a pretty low strikeout rate. However, Chris Davis, I know he got scratched on Saturday. I kind of want him to be in the lineup because Chris Davis strikes out a ton. That would be a big boost for Yanni Chirinos. But still, I mean, if those two guys are out, I don't know who they're going to put in as replacements. I guess I could have looked at their lineup on Saturday to see who they played on Saturday. But you just look at this lineup top to bottom, and it's not very scary. Hayes and Santander are pretty good hitters. Santander is definitely a solid hitter, especially against right-handed pitching. But like Alberto, Nunez, especially against righties, Pedro Severino, DJ Stewart, these just aren't guys you're worried about. Not guys you're scared to take a pitcher against. So let me see Yanni Chirinos here. Pretty heavy favorite at -179. The Rays do have a very high implied run total here against Tommy Malone. So hopefully they will be able to give Yanni Chirinos some run support. I mean, just looking at the weather right now, that is a little bit of a concern. Right now it's expected to be humid with 90-degree temperatures, winds blowing out to center at 12 miles per hour. So it's definitely going to be great hitting weather in Baltimore. But that's still not going to get me off of Yanni Chirinos. This is a guy that does have some K upside. Last year, against lefties, had a 22.8% strikeout rate. Against righties, 20.4%. So about a 22% K rate last season. Against the Orioles, I'm gonna take Chirinos here on a very weak pitching slate where there's not a lot of guys you feel good about to begin with. So definitely like him on both sides, especially DraftKings because you just don't have as many options. I could see maybe getting away from him on Yahoo because you have more games, more players to choose from. But even looking at some of the pitchers in these 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock games that aren't on the DraftKings main slate, I mean, you got Ohtani facing the Astros, Paxton against the Red Sox, Samardzija. I mean, I guess Samardzija against the Rangers could be interesting, pitching at home, but Merrill Kelly against the Dodgers, I don't really want to go there. Josh James, I think, actually could be pretty interesting against the Angels, especially if they're going to still be without Mike Trout. James is a guy that has a lot of strikeout upside. Although he burned me in his first start against the Mariners, I wouldn't mind going to him. But a lot of the guys in those late 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock games that aren't on the DK main slate, these are still guys you don't really want to play. So I do like Yanni Chirinos a lot over on Yahoo as well at $35. But then the next guy I'm looking at for DraftKings is Dylan Cease. So Dylan Cease got absolutely destroyed in his first start this season. Only lasted 2 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs to the Indians. Only got 1 strikeout, negative 5.6 DraftKings points. That was a tough matchup, somewhat tough matchup. This is a much easier spot against the Royals. Now, although the Royals don't have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup, if you look at K rate last season versus righties, they were about middle of the pack. They're another pretty weak offensive team. They do have some very solid hitters at the top of the lineup. Merrifield, Soler have good power. Salvador Perez has power. There's definitely some strikeouts though, like Mondesi, he will strike out a good amount. Ryan O'Hearn, I think he strikes out a lot as well. Even Soler will strike out. Although he has a ton of power, he will still strike out versus righties. I think Merrifield's K rate, it's pretty low to begin with, but it's a little bit higher against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. Same with Salvador Perez. I know Maikel Franco will strike out a decent amount. Alex Gordon puts the ball in play, but he's not really a guy you're going to be afraid of. I definitely like the spot for Dylan Cease. This is a guy that does have a lot of strikeout upside. he's definitely a guy that, will get blown up. He gave up a lot of home runs last season, 2.31 home runs per 9 to lefties, 1.42 to righties. Did allow a pretty high WOBA to both sides of the plate. I mean, a 380 WOBA to lefties, 325 WOBA to righties, which obviously is a concern. But you look at the strikeout rate, I mean, a 28% K rate against right-handed pitching, which is kind of elite. I mean, that's really, really good. Anytime you see a K rate reaching 30%, like that's when you start to get into like elite territory with like guys like, Bieber, Walker Buehler, Chris Sale. Like these are the kind of guys that have like 30% K rates. 28.4% K rate to righties is really good for Dylan Cease. Definitely lower to lefties, though. I mean, he's struggled more to lefties, 21.3% to lefties. But still, there's some strikeouts in this Royals lineup. It's not a very good lineup to begin with. Once you get past the top few hitters, there's a lot of easy outs at the bottom. I'm hoping people shy away from Cease because he got blown up in his first start. I do like him here against the Royals. I think there's upside for sure. 8,400 feels a little bit too expensive. Like that feels like a price tag you normally wouldn't pay for Cease. But you look at this pitching slate. I mean, there's just nobody you really feel confident in. If you're not going to Dylan Cease, then who are you playing? Like Homer Bailey against the Indians? I don't really want to go there. Chad Kuhl as our long reliever against the Cubs. Don't really want to go there. Tommy Malone against the Rays. The Rays have nearly a 6 implied run total. I doubt I go there. Jacob Junis could be interesting against the White Sox just because there are some strikeouts in that White Sox lineup, but I think I would still rather just stack up the White Sox because Junis is a guy that gives up home runs. I don't want to play David Peterson against the Braves. I don't want to play Kyle Wright. I mean, he's just not that good of a pitcher. And I don't want to play the pitchers in Coors, so I mean, you just kind of look at the pitcher-player pool today. You're not going to feel good about really anybody you roster. So I'm just going to roster the guys that I think can get strikeouts, and that's Chirinos, that's Cease. Those are the guys I think have the most K upside. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for pitcher on Draftkings. Now, talking about Yahoo, you could obviously go to Dylan Cease. Over on Yahoo, he is very cheap. He's only $29. But because we have more games over there and more players to choose from, there is a guy that I like in the afternoon games that's not on the DK main slate. That's Chris Bassett. So Bassett is $37 on Yahoo, a very favorable price tag. I like the matchup a lot for him against the Mariners. The Mariners are a team I have, took pitchers against a lot this season. They really struggled against right-handed pitching last season. I mean, they had a 25.8% K rate against righties, which was 4th highest in the league. They don't really have a good lineup either. This isn't a lineup you're scared of. I can't get for some reason, the lineup won't pull up on Fantasy Labs. I'm not sure why it's not showing, but this is not a lineup you're going to be scared of. Guys like, Malik Smith, I can't even name their lineup off the top of my head because it's just a bunch of nobodies, but like Malik Smith, Kyle Seager, J.P. Crawford, Shed Long, like these just aren't hitters you're going to be worried about. Kyle Lewis is a good young prospect. I guess he's probably their best hitter, honestly. But still, I'm not going to shy away from, taking pitchers against the Mariners. I think this is a really good spot for Chris Bassett. He looked pretty solid in his first start this season. It was a somewhat tough matchup against the Angels. He only went 4 innings, allowed 5 hits, one walk, but did get 5 strikeouts, so he was pretty solid for only going 4 innings. He only threw 66 pitches, too. I doubt he, only goes, that amount of pitches here. I think they're going to let him go 5-6 innings. He should definitely be able to throw 75 to 80 pitches, if not more, especially if he's pitching well. At $37 on Yahoo, I do like him quite a bit as one of those like mid-tier options. We do have Clayton Kershaw on Yahoo that you can maybe target, but Clayton Kershaw is coming off the IL. I wouldn't be surprised to see him limited, so that's kind of why I'm a little hesitant on him. He's somewhat affordable, though, at $49. I mean, that's pretty cheap for Kershaw. Diamondbacks, though, are not really a team I like taking pitchers against. They just don't strike out much. Kershaw's obviously a really good pitcher, though. If you wanted to go to him, I don't mind that. Just don't be surprised to see, Kershaw's limited here. The Dodgers do, like to limit their pitchers. So I prefer to go to the mid-range. There's a lot of bats I like today, a lot of expensive bats. So trying to roster some of these mid-tiers, cheaper pitchers probably going to be the way that I go and then really load up on the bats. So just talking about some hitters I like, we'll go ahead and take a look at the Coors Field game. So Coors Field, always, obviously like Coors Field when it comes to implied run total, you're going to see some of the highest implied run totals on the slate when you go to Coors Field. And that's the case today. We got a 7.2 implied run total for the Padres against Antonio Senzatella, 6.5 implied run total for the Rockies against Zach Davies. So both these pitchers, I am not afraid to stack against, especially Senzatella. Like, he just has really nothing. I mean, he got absolutely crushed last season. kind of to both sides of the plate. We take a look at Senzatella's numbers. 394 WOBA allowed to lefties, 352 WOBA allowed to righties. Did give up a lot of home runs to lefties, 1.72 home runs per nine to left-handed hitters. Not as many home runs to righties, but still 1.07 home runs per nine to righties. I really like the Padres here. The only problem is that they are incredibly expensive. Their top four hitters, Tatis, Grisham, Machado, Pham, are all 5K and above on DraftKings. Profar, Myers, Naylor, like those guys aren't really cheap either, 4,900, 4,800. There's not a ton of value besides the bottom of the lineup guys like Hedges and Cronenworth are both kind of cheap. But I want to try and fit at least a few of these Padres bats in. It's kind of hard to do so on DraftKings. Much easier to do so, though, on Yahoo. The pricing is just a lot softer over there. Manny Machado is only $19 on Yahoo at third base. You look at the third base like pricing, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's the 8th most expensive third baseman on Yahoo. I think that's incorrect. He's a dollar less than Nolan Arenado. One of those two third basemen is probably who I'm going to wind up going to, and I think I do give the edge to Machado today, especially because he's a dollar less. Like I said, Senzatella just not a pitcher you really are scared of. I mean, struggled more to lefties last season, but still gave up a 352 WOBA to righties. They're in Coors Field, the best hitters park in baseball. Love Manny Machado here. He hasn't homered yet in this 2 or 3 game series. Didn't homer Friday night or Saturday night, and there were a lot of home runs hit in those 2 games. I think we see Manny Machado get one over the fence today. Definitely like him for a home run here against Senzatella, and $19 on Yahoo, for sure one of my favorite third basemen. But then to just go ahead and finish out the Yahoo core, we're just going to stay at Coors Field on the other side. I really like some of these Rockies bats. They are very affordable on Yahoo, not too expensive. You take a look at the pricing. So Matt Kemp's in the projected lineup, but he won't be in the lineup. That's just because their lineup is still in here from what they ran out on Friday or on Saturday night against a lefty, facing a right-handed pitcher today. You're going to see guys like Daniel Murphy back in the lineup. Tapia will be in the lineup. Owings won't be. Drew Butera won't be. Matt Kemp won't be. Those guys won't be in the lineup, I doubt. So I'm assuming Murphy's going to be in the lineup, and Daniel Murphy is very affordable on Yahoo. Only $14. I like that price tag a ton. I was pretty high on him Friday night. I played him a lot Friday night across my tournament lineups and in my Rocky stacks. He was okay. Went 1 for 4 with a walk. Finished with, 5 fantasy points, which isn't terrible. I was expecting a better game from Murphy. I definitely like going back to him here, though. Against Zach Davies, this is not a pitcher that I'm going to be afraid to stack against, especially when he's in Coors Field. If we take a look at his numbers last season, did allow somewhat high WOBA, just above average, 317 WOBA to lefties last season. Did give up some home runs, 1.36 home runs per 9. But one of the big things is strikeout. Davies only had a 13% K rate to lefties, just a 17% K rate to righties. If you can't get strikeouts, especially in Coors Field, you're going to really struggle if guys are putting the ball in play in Coors Field. Guys are just going to find holes in the outfield. That outfield is so spacious. If you can't get Ks, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So that's one of the reasons I really like the Rocky side of this game. I like both sides because, both these pitchers are not strikeout pitchers. Both of them have K rates below 20%. I really like some of these Rockies lefties. Blackman, I love as well. Blackman only $19 on Yahoo. That feels like a mispriced too. You look at the outfield pricing, he's way down here. He should be at the top. Anytime Blackman is at home in Coors Field, he should be at the top of the outfield pricing. So the fact that we're getting him way down here at $19 makes him incredibly appealing. You look at his splits. I don't have him pulled up, but if you were to take a look at his splits, when he's at home, the dude just mashes the ball when he's at Coors. Had a big game on Friday night. Homered, went 3 for 5 with a homer, 2 runs, 3 RBIs. Not sure what he's doing on Saturday night. I know they faced a lefty on Saturday, so maybe he's not having the best game, but getting a righty today, Zach Davies, a guy that doesn't get strikeouts, that's going to allow you to put the ball in play. I like Blackman to hit another homer here at $19 on Yahoo. He's one of my favorite plays today, and I love him over on DraftKings as well. He's expensive over there, $5,600. He's expensive like he should be. That's the guy I still want to try and pay it for. I just think the upside is really there for Charlie Blackman. This Coors Field game, I'm going to be all over it again. I've stacked it up pretty much every day. Friday and Saturday, I stacked it up pretty heavy. It's worked out so far. We've had a lot of home runs the past 2 games. I think we're going to see even more on Sunday. These are probably the worst, or the 2 worst pitchers we've had when you look at the pitching matchup so far through these the first 2 games. I think this is probably in terms of worst pitchers on the mound. I mean, these are the two of the worst we've had. So love stacking up both sides here. Love Blackman. Arenado obviously is a great third baseman. If you're not playing Machado, you can go to Arenado. Love David Dahl. $18 on Yahoo. That feels like a nice price. You got some value here. Austin Hedges, if he's in the lineup, he's only $8 on Yahoo. Naylor's only $10, so much more affordable over on Yahoo. This Coors Field lineup's this Rockies lineup, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit different. I don't think we're going to see Kemp in there. Murphy should be in Kemp's spot. We'll most likely see like Ramel Tapia in there. Tony Walters will probably be in there. Not sure who they'll bat like over Chris Owings, I guess. I'm not sure who would play second base if Owings or maybe McMahon could play second base. Murphy will play first. I don't know who they put in the outfield, though, with Blackman and Tapia. Not really sure on that one. I guess they put Dahl in the outfield. It comes down to who would DH then. Not really sure. I can't remember who was in the lineup on Friday night when they faced a righty. I think it was definitely Walters, Tapia. I can't remember who was the other. Oh, it was Sam Hilliard. So, yeah, Sam Hilliard will probably be in there over Hampson. Tapia will be in there, Walters will be in there, and then Daniel Murphy will be in there. If I had to guess, but they could run out a different lineup. Just make sure you're keeping a check on that lineup. 3:10 game, so should have the lineup before lock, I would assume. Probably get it around like 12 or 12:30. But yeah, another team I want to talk about. I know I spent a lot of time on that Coors Field game. Obviously, I really like it in terms of stacks. But another team I have a lot of interest in is the White Sox here against Jacob Junis. So I know I mentioned earlier that maybe Jacob Junis could be a guy you look to because he could maybe get strikeouts here against a White Sox team that does have plenty of Ks in its lineup. But this is also a White Sox team that has a ton of power. Luis Robert, he led off on Saturday night. I assume he leads off again because Tim Anderson, their normal leadoff hitter, is on the IL. Luis Robert, if he leads off for 3,600, I like him a ton here. This is a great power hitter. A guy that I think does strike out a good amount. I mean, we don't have much of a sample size on him so far in the majors, but I know like in the minors, he absolutely crushed. In terms of power, he's already homered once this year. He homered on Saturday night, so that gives him 2 homers on the year. Just a really talented hitter. I'm not sure if he has speed. It looks like he already does have 1 stolen bases on the year, so he does have some speed. I mean, this guy is going to be one of the best hitters in the league in the next 3 or 4 years, if I had to guess. He's an incredible prospect. If they lead him off for 3,600 here, he's going to be one of my favorite values on the slate. I love him on Draftkings. The White Sox as a team, I like a ton as a stack. I mean, they are very affordable. Robert's 3,600. Jose Abreu's 3,900. Eloy Jimenez is 3,700. Luis Garcia, I mean, he's not the best hitter, but he's only 2,900. And then Yohan Moncada, only 4K. I love Yohan Moncada here against Junis. We talked about how much Junis, struggles with home runs to lefties last year. He really struggled to lefties. Gave up a 352 WOBA to lefties. 1.3 home runs per 9 to lefties. 1.89 to righties. So actually gave up more home runs to righties than lefties last season, which makes me have a lot of interest in both, righties and lefties here because he's shown that he can struggle to both. Doesn't really have much of a ton of strikeout stuff, really high K rate. Just a 21.9% K rate to lefties, 20.6% to righties. I really like some of these White Sox bats. Junis is making his first start of the season. There's probably going to be a little bit of rust there. Guys like Robert for 3,600, Moncada for 4K, absolutely love. Jose Abreu under 4K. Grandal is probably my favorite catcher play on the slate. If you're not going to one of the catchers in the Coors Field game. Edwin Encarnacion for only 4K. I love that too. Really, the 1 through 6 I have a ton of interest in, but I wouldn't mind even playing some of the guys at the bottom of the lineup because they give you some really good value, all 3K and under, with Garcia, Engel, and Madrigal, 2,500, 2,500, 2,900. Some really good value there. You don't have a run total on this game, but if I had to guess, I say the White Sox come in with probably at least like a 5.3, 5.4 implied run total. It might be even higher. So love the White Sox here. Love the Coors Field game. Those are definitely 2 of my favorite stacks, or 3 of my favorite stacks, I should say. We'll go ahead and transition to stacks, talk about some teams I'm looking to stack up. Definitely like this Coors Field game. Obviously, not really going out on a limb there. Love the White Sox here against Junis. I think some Rays bats against Tommy Malone also make a ton of sense. They're pretty affordable too. Diaz, 4,100. Mike Brousseau, a lot of power against lefties. He's 4,100. Jose Martinez, another guy that has power, 4,500. Willie Adames, 3,900. Some really good value in that Rays lineup, so that's another team you could look to. I think even both sides of this Mets-Braves game could be more interesting for stacks. If I had to choose one, I think I would give the edge to the Braves just because I like their lineup more. They are more expensive, but guys like Duvall, Ozuna, These guys have a ton of power against lefties. Acuna, obviously. Freddie Freeman, even though it's lefty-lefty, I still like Freddie Freeman a ton. Dansby Swanson's been red hot so far this season. So I like the Braves as well. But if I had to rank my top 3 stacks, I think it'd probably be, I guess I'd probably go with the Rockies. When you factor in pricing and value in their lineup, I'd probably take the Rockies over the Padres, but, you know, I'm going to stack up both those teams today. Rockies number 1, Padres number 2, White Sox number 3. Probably go Rays 4 and then like Braves 5. You can maybe throw in the Mets there as like a 6th team, but those are probably like the 3 or 4 teams I'm really liking on Draftkings. Now, Yahoo, it's kind of the same teams. We could talk about some of these teams like in the later games that are on the Yahoo main slate. I doubt I really stack up like this Giants game. I mean, I really don't think there's a ton of stacks I like in the late night games. Maybe you could take some Yankees against Austin Bryce. I mean, you can always stack the Yankees. They just have such a good lineup, but they are incredibly expensive. I mean, top 4 hitters, all $20 or more, which is very high on Yahoo. So, yeah, probably going to be sticking to the teams I talked about as, you know, my stacks for today, the teams I'm looking to stack up. So, I think that's it for this video, guys. I think we covered everything, talked about pitchers, talked about a couple hitters I like, looked at some stacks. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well. I do have a ton of content for you guys, coming out for you guys. Would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Click the notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload. And when I do start live streaming soon in the next couple of weeks, you will get notified every time I go live, and you can come hop in the live stream, ask me questions. I'll be there to answer them. We can talk through the slate together. I'm so excited I get to start interacting with you guys. That's something I've always wanted to do. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.